Welcome back to another episode of Trigger Warning. I am your host, Kim Osorio, and TT Torrez is out. So I want to give a special shout out to TT, who happens to be on vacation. Good for her. But I'm here with you in the Bronx, and sitting in for TT is a friend of mine, of course. First of all, just so everybody knows, I had to get somebody from the Bronx.
Ew.
That was my agenda. Bianca Torrez, she is the co-host of the Apartment 5H podcast with DJ Self. Is there anything else I should say when I intro you?
Well, I'm also a publicist, but you know.
It's so funny. I didn't even ask you, huh? I was just in my head, and I was like, I'm just gonna go.
It's okay. You know me though. You
I
know
do.
Me. You know what I do.
It's better for me to have my friends here with me because then we can have a real conversation. So I have to, we're gonna have guests on the Trigger Warning podcast. So that's coming, I promise. But TT and I are trying to establish this podcast thing, right? Like with her and I as two voices in the culture. And I think it's been good. And I think that's what it is. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy that you came.
Me too.
I know. I love that you commented on my nails right before we rolled. You were like, friends do that for you. Friends make you feel good. You're like, I love your nails. They're very Christmassy. But I definitely, I had a problem when she charged me an extra $10 to $15 for it because I didn't want a design.
That's why she told you to get the design. She was upselling.
There you go.
She was upselling.
Right. She was like, oh, it's Christmas. And I felt like Scrooge in the nail salon because she was like, you don't want a design? I'm like, I don't want a design. Just give me a blue. I love blue on my nails. And she insisted that I get a design. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to be the person here. The lady next to me was getting like green, red. I was like, you're doing too much. But I said, okay. I said, give me a little sparkle. That's fine. So she did a sparkle. Then she started to go with like the little like glittery. I was like, enough. And then afterwards, she charged me. She charged me more money.
I mean, she knew what she was doing, but I will say money well spent because I'm loving the Frozen-esque
Thank
nails.
you.
I am.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
It's hard. It's hard to sit here, be on camera. It's good when you're with your friends. I think last time TT and I got into a conversation, and let me just tell you, it was heavy at the top. It was like relationship combo, and I was like, I don't want to do that on here.
Ooh.
She was like, let me ask you, are you healed? I'm like, no.
That's a process. It takes time.
I know.
I mean, look, my eyes just started twitching. Like,
Yeah. Like I'm not healed, but how about I don't want to heal in front of the world? So let's not do that here.
But you're working on it.
I am. And I don't know how it came up, but that happens, right? Like when you're having a conversation with your friend and it just feels normal. Right? Like it happens. It's like, so, why do you, because we were talking about vacations. Shout out to TT again, who is, like I said, on vacation. I'm hoping you're having a great time in the islands or wherever you are. But I was saying I don't go on vacation.
No, you don't.
I know you know that.
You don't.
And she was like, why not? And then it just segued into a relationship convo. And I was like, not ready. I was like, I don't want to talk about my trauma on TV.
But how did it segue into the relationship?
I don't know, because I made a comment like, because I said something to her like, I haven't, had a vacation or whatever. It was like vacation. And then, my gold digger quality came out because I was, like, we just talking about vacations. She's like, well, why haven't you been on vacation? And I'm like, ain't nobody paying for my vacation right now. It was a gold digger moment.
Crazy.
And so it came out, and she was like, why do you need somebody to go with you on vacation? I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, because they got to pay for it, right?
I mean, that would be nice.
It would be.
But
is that really a gold digger quality? It's just like, I think it would be chivalrous.
I mean, look, vacations are different, right? When you're on a vacation versus a girls' trip. But I'll say, the last few years, I've been taking girls' trips, and I love it.
Do you?
I do. There's a sense of like liberation.
We're friends, right? And we've talked about this before.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for a little while, I was like, I want to go on a trip with a boo. It's nice, right? Like, it's just different. But at the same time, I feel like lately I've found this new independence. And it's like, you know what? I'm not going to wait to be in a relationship to do certain things.
And that's good. And that's where I want to be, right? And I think I just got super busy and I didn't have a chance to like do it. But I have been on girls' trips. I have had fun on girls' trips. But then I've also been on trips where like I'm the single one and people are, you know, have their significant other there. So it's
Right.
like, and then with the girls' trip, like there's so many expenses and I'm always being frugal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, the girls' trip, how much is the hotel? What's this? We gotta eat, we're gonna eat well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so you end up spending a pretty penny.
I mean, you do, but it'll come when it's supposed to come.
I know. I say that as I told one of my friends the other day that I might go to Ghana during the
You
Christmas
need
break.
to go to Ghana. I just got back from Ghana.
I know. That's why I
Girls'
brought it
trip.
up. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, you need to go.
It was an experience for you?
It was an experience. It was an experience. I mean, first of all, like, to say, oh, I just got back from Africa. You know what I mean? Like,
It feels like fabulous.
yeah, it does. And then also, I feel like, I don't know, it was weird. It was different for me. It felt like a spiritual journey. Like, I came back, I guess because I was away from home so long, too. I was away for like 10 days. I had never been away that
Right.
long.
Right.
So I came back, like, just happy to be home. Like, I was ready to lick the New York City street sidewalks. And you know how much I hate the sidewalks.
You said that.
Yeah, you know. So I came back feeling really grateful, and when I went there, I didn't like party. Like I was like crossing these huge bridges in rainforest, and like
It sounds very adventurous.
it was.
I'm past that stage in my life. Like I just want to lay on the beach. That's it.
I'm usually
I want to lay
that
on the
type.
beach. I want to relax. I want to feel good. Shout out to everyone who is going away for the Christmas holiday. I hope you have an amazing trip. I'm done with the snow. It hasn't even snowed yet here.
I was about to say,
but
wait
I'm
a
done with
minute,
it.
like-
It was like a flurry the other day, and I like, you know, I stepped up on my house. You have to go up the porch steps, and they're a little raggedy right now. Like I have to admit, I have to get the cement redone, and there was like, it was sticking. It was sticking. I was like, oh God, the snow's coming. I have to shovel. It's a lot when you're single, and I'm back to relationships. It's a lot of trauma coming out right now.
Yeah, no, the household stuff. Yeah, when you're single, like I can't even bring like waters up because I refuse to do it in a shopping cart. Like I miss having a man who would be like, let me bring the waters for you. Boom. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I take my waters upstairs and like 6 at a time in a bag. Like
Yeah.
every time I come back from driving somewhere, I'm like, oh, let me take some waters upstairs. I mean, there are certain things that are beneficial in
Right,
relationships.
to having a relationship. Lady, if your man
Yeah.
isn't carrying the water up the steps, if your man isn't taking you on vacation, if your man isn't doing all of these things, if he's not fixing things in the house, what are you doing with your man?
The fixing, like I want to be able to say, I want a shelf on the wall and
Right, can
just
you put
appear
the,
magically.
like, right.
You know?
And I'll say this. Now, I would like someone who can pay for someone else to put a shelf on a wall. I love that. But I want to know that you can put the shelf on the wall.
It's something about a man putting a shelf on the wall.
Can you put the shelf on the wall?
Like, do you have a rewards card for
because
Home Depot?
I can put the shelf on the wall. I can do it if I put my mind to it. You know.
Well, yeah, you're a different breed. Like, you do that stuff.
Let's talk about how I was under that sink changing that faucet.
I was very impressed by that.
So was my person at the time who told me that I needed to call someone. And I told him, I don't need to call someone because when I call someone, they're going to charge me $1,000 and I don't want to spend that right now. He did not think that I can do it. And he
showed
was
him.
I showed him. I showed him. Isn't it great to say, like, after the fact, like, yeah, and I showed you.
That's right.
You didn't even change my faucet.
You did not change my faucet. That's a problem.
And yeah, you wanted to keep me with the old faucet. Why? It's broken.
Like, wasn't serving
You
you.
wash your hands
The
here.
faucet wasn't serving
Like you do things here. How you gonna leave the faucet like that?
That's a whole nother conversation.
So I want to talk about the Bronx energy
Okay.
because
Black Air Force energy. Let's go.
let's go. First of all, I know you're feeling yourself because walking down the block, how the guy was like, yo, you.
I mean,
So
you
he
did compliment
commented
my
on your
dunks, you know. Real recognize real.
Right,
Like, what do you
coming
want me
in
to
here,
do?
I'm like going over things in my mind, like what are we gonna talk about? And he straight up hits you with the compliment on your kicks, and I was like, that's a big Bronx compliment.
It is. Big Bronx
So-
energy.
Yesterday, I was told by somebody whose opinion I value. I really do value his opinion. We work very closely together. I'm gonna tell you who it is, but he told me tone down the Bronx energy.
Excuse me?
Right.
What?
I was like,
What?
is this
What
not
prompted-
attractive is this not attractive on your show? Now you know who it is.
Well,
It was math.
What prompted this?
It was math.
What prompted this statement?
So for those of you who don't know, I have been co-hosting on Math Hoffa's My Expert Opinion. So I basically am sitting in a barbershop with 5 dudes talking to them about a lot of these stories. And we were having a conversation about a particular story that we had covered. And I said that I didn't like the way the conversation went, and we always have these content conversations. And he said, just tone down the Bronx energy a little bit.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you, Brooklyn?
But I was offended. Right. Well, there's that, right? I was offended. I was like, does the audience not like my Bronx energy? What is this? And then I thought about sitting here on Trigger Warning, and I'm like, when I go to the Bronx, I'm not told to tone down my Bronx energy.
Ever.
But it doesn't come out as much because we're ladies here. We're ladies here.
We are.
Yeah. But he told me to tone down my Bronx energy. So I think it was too aggressive in the barbershop. But I'm in the barbershop, so it's a little defensive. Y'all coming at me. It's a lot of Brooklyn, Queens. Like, New York energy is different.
Yeah, but you're in a barbershop with 4 or 5 guys, like, and you got to hold your own, right? Like, when you're hosting with men specifically, it's like, as a woman, like, you have to make sure your voice is heard. Like,
Right.
you have to keep up with them, and like, so I don't think that's Bronx energy. I think that's just energy.
It is energy.
Boss woman energy.
It's boss woman energy. But how do you feel? Real question, real vulnerable question for you, Bronx ladies out there. Do you feel like the Bronx energy is unattractive to men?
I think it can be, and I think that if it is unattractive, then you're not the one for me. You know what I mean? Like, I think they could be intimidated by it. Like, you see the memes, like, oh, this girl from the Bronx, she fought the guy for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this, we see the memes and the gifs. Like, we
What
know
about
what
the
they
meme
say.
that I'm not even gonna say it. Then they said
you
a
gotta
certain
say it.
person, likes women who can go downstairs.
Oh, and see what the noise was? Yeah, like, I think that Bronx women can have that. I mean, I'm not going downstairs to see what the noise was.
I'm not
I'll do
either.
other things, but I'm not doing that.
But I will say that, a lot of situationships, right, you might be in, they're not, sometimes they don't listen to you. What do you mean you didn't hear that noise? Like, I could see myself going downstairs to see what the noise is.
No, I'm not going downstairs.
I could see myself. Like, I hear noise, he sleep. I'm like nudging him, he's still asleep. I'm still nudging, he's still asleep. I'm like, bro, get up and go see what the noise is. Now, you can't see this happening where he's like, oh, I'm asleep. And you're like, this dude, man, let me just get up and go downstairs and see what the noise is. You wouldn't do that?
No.
Oh, I'm doing that.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
I mean, I have little arms. I ain't gonna do much against whatever noise is
No, because
downstairs.
the toxicness in me wants to go down and get into a rumble just to prove to him that I heard a noise.
I don't think
a
that's
little-
no. I
little
don't,
toxic.
I don't
It's a little
think that's your
toxic.
goal. I think
toxic.
that that's also like the hyper independence in you.
Right.
Right. Like a lot of us women who grew up with having to figure it out on our own,
Right.
and then became adults and still had to figure it out on our own. That's hyper independence. So I think that's really what it is. I don't necessarily think it's your toxic side. I mean, deep down, maybe
No, it's a
maybe
little
the
bit of my
third
toxic.
reason. Maybe the third reason. I think
It's-
the first reason would really be the hyper independence.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
it's a little bit of my toxic. Like, I'm like, oh, you're not gonna go downstairs and check out this noise?
Nah. I mean, but then.
Like, really? Like, you good?
But that's
Could
why we
be
have to vet. We have to
someone
vet.
in the house trying to kill us? You want to see me go downstairs and show you?
That's why we have
I
to.
gotta let
we gotta
it go.
vet. We gotta vet these
I gotta let it go.
situationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I gotta let it go. Because
Yeah.
he shouldn't be laying there if he's not gonna go check on the noise.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Imagine.
Like, forget put it. You don't want to put the shelf up, fine.
Right.
But you gotta see what the
No,
noise
but you gotta
is.
put the shelf up. You gotta put the
But
shelf
you
up.
still gotta put the shelf up.
Anyway, so I was told I had this Bronx energy. But you know what? They triggered me. They triggered me. And even though I am responsible for my own triggers, right?
Correct.
They triggered me into conversations. And when I disagree in a room full of men, it's hard to get my point across. Now, a lot of men may feel like we can hear you, like we're listening to you. But based on your response, it's triggering me that you're not accepting my opinion the way you're accepting other opinions, right? So like that's just in any room. I'm not saying in that specific room.
No,
I'm
that's
saying
in any room.
So
Absolutely.
I have to think about it when I cover things because I get emotional. Now I feel, especially male podcasters, I feel like they get emotional too.
They do get emotional.
And then they accuse us,
I think they're even more emotional than us.
aren't they?
And a lot of that stuff plays into like real life. Like we've seen it. Like
Because you
know.
have a podcast.
I do.
So how do you feel? Do they ever like tell you, oh, you're getting emotional and you're with, you talk to men on the podcast as well?
I don't think it's just podcasts. I think in general, I'm accused of being emotional.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not emotional. Sometimes I'm just passionate about it.
Right.
And men tend to overtalk women a lot. You know what I
do.
mean? So it's like now I have to go to another volume.
Right.
Because you're talking louder than me. And I'm not trying to overtalk you. I'm trying to match you. Like, and we're getting into this heated debate. And I may be passionate about the subject
Right.
matter. But then it's automatic, oh, you're emotional.
Yeah.
And that's just in life, I think, in general.
I
Not
think
just
you're
in
right.
podcasting.
I think you're right. So I'm conscious of it now. And so in conversations, but you see, like I could have these type of conversations and I have them with TT, and TT and I get very emotional on this podcast. We do. But it's kind of like we respect, like, and you can tell that we're listening to each other. Sometimes I feel like on the other podcasts with a bunch of men, like I can't tell that you're listening to me. This might be just a man-woman thing. I don't
think
know.
it's
Like
just the battle of the sexes.
it's a
in
battle of the
sense.
sexes.
Yeah, it is.
It's a hard thing, right? To have your voice heard in a room like that. So anyway, but I love them. My expert opinion. Let me shout out Mav Hoffa's My Expert Opinion. Make sure you go to YouTube at Mav Hoffa and you subscribe, like, and comment. And I will say I appreciate all the wonderful comments that come in. Not that I see all of them, but I do pay attention. I've had this conversation with them. I'm watching. I got to stop watching. Yeah, right. Like look, because you want to know how people feel about the conversations you have. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
The biggest news, in my opinion, over the last 2 weeks have been the accusations against Jay-Z.
Yes, that is correct.
Big news.
It is. Still big news.
It is. And in my coverage of this story, I've been following every little thing because I think what happened with Diddy is the biggest thing that's happened in the hip hop community, since I've been covering it. I really do. So looking at an accusation against Jay like that, to me, is big news. In covering it, I found myself being passionate about making sure both sides are told, right? And I don't have enough facts about that. And I don't want that to be true. But I'm watching the play-by-play, and I'm really watching the media coverage of it. More recently, I think that I can report the Tony Busby law firm that has filed this case on behalf of the accuser of Jay-Z. They said that Roc Nation, or they filed a case against Roc Nation. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Oh my gosh. So that
another new development, huh?
It's like day by day. So I'm watching this stuff and I've been passionate about covering it and making sure like I cover both sides. Now, I'll state for the record that the accuser came out, did an interview with NBC News. You couldn't see who she was and had a ton of inconsistencies in her story. She was autistic. She was talking about, a White House. His attorneys did a press conference with a PowerPoint showing certain press in the industry.
And a binder.
It's been a lot. So for me not to be passionate about this story, right, is just out of my character. I'm gonna be passionate about it. It doesn't mean that I'm against Jay, which is so odd to me that people kind of came up with that. They were like, wait, you're a hater. I'm like, I'm not a hater because I'm covering a story. But because I didn't see it the way other people saw it, like, oh my God, this case is fugazi, right? I'm never gonna approach something like that. Like, if there's a case filed and it's reported, I'm going to report it, but I'm never going to approach it like, this is frivolous. It's just not in my nature. I'm reading you know how I am. I'm reading the case law, right? So his lawyer comes out, he basically debunks this accuser, and they're still waiting for the court to decide whether or not they're going to drop that case against Jay-Z. They're still waiting for that. So I'm watching. I'm like, are they going to drop the case now that she's come out and done this interview? And there are so many facts that just don't add up. One of the other facts is that they say that they said they spoke to her father, who said if he had drove 5 hours, because she lived in Rochester at the time, at the 2000 MTV Music Awards, right? She's saying that she came down and he picked her up from a gas station. He said he would have remembered that drive, picking her up. But, it was a long time ago. I don't know whether or not, I don't know what's going on.
That statement in itself is a little weird.
I thought it was a little fishy,
like,
too.
what do you mean you don't remember, or you would remember? That's weird.
I thought it was fishy. I thought it was fishy that they interviewed the dad, right? And that was the only thing that was reported. So there were a lot of inconsistencies in her story. Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, does this PowerPoint with select press, and he shows like, hey, this happened, that happened, this happened. This isn't true. Here are Puff's houses, in New York. I mean, these are things that you litigate in court. So the other attorney would come out and say, well, even though she said that, this was what it is. But they're litigating this case already in the media.
Yeah. I mean, they have to.
That's what they're doing. So it fascinates me, right? So like her father says like, oh, I would have remembered that. And I'm like, this is just so weird to me. And that he would say that to the press, right, in an interview, and that's the only thing that I would hear from his interview. I didn't hear anything else from his interview. Where's his interview? You sat in front of this guy, right? And this is not, to say anything about, guilt. I'm not saying that. Like, and that's where I think people get it twisted with me. They're like, why are you hating on this? I'm like, this is a huge case that's being reported. So why, and look.
I think people aren't used to real journalism,
yeah, like
right?
we're
There's so many podcasts out and everyone's calling themselves a journalist. Real journalism is talking about these issues and seeing both sides.
Right.
You know
it's like
what I
you're
mean?
playing detective. You're
100%.
like,
That's
okay,
what
let
journalism
me find,
is.
Right. And so like the
fact checking, all that stuff like goes into play. And just because you're talking about it and you're looking at both sides, people automatically assume like, oh, she's
hating.
She's
hating.
No,
like,
you're doing your due diligence.
I don't want that to be true. Like, that's not what I'm, and that's what kind of made me emotional, I think, on the podcast, because people were saying like, oh, you're hating, or why are you? I'm like, no. I'm asking questions, which is what I do.
Yeah,
as a journalist, right? I'm asking questions. I'm like, okay, the father said that. Wow, that is a big inconsistency. But what else did he say?
Right.
Right? I'm asking those type of questions. That's all I'm doing. I'm just doing my job. I want to know what else he said. So like, if an attorney is going to argue his side. So I'm listening to Jay's attorney argue all these inconsistencies, and I'm like, okay, yeah, pretty good. Good job. That was good. What's the other side have to say?
And anyone would want to hear what the other
that's
side
it.
has to say.
I just want to know. And the latest is that the other side, the Tony Busby law firm, who they have really been kind of going at in the media. These two lawyers. This case has become these two lawyers going at each other. It's the weirdest thing. And but I'm watching. I'm paying attention to these two lawyers go back and forth. So this guy, Tony Busby, who's filed this case against Jay, and he's, he named Jay, but he initially had filed the cases against Diddy and had the hotline. Let me say that so I make sure I'm fair, right? He did put up a hotline looking for victims to come out against Sean Combs. Got it. It's a little, that's also very fishy. It's a little extra, like, what you doing all of this for, right? So they're going back and forth. They're calling him ambulance chaser and whatever. But he's now claiming that Roc Nation is sending out people impersonating people in the law to try to get his former clients to sue him. So the story is like a little It's deep to
I was
me.
about to say, it's getting deep.
Right? So he's saying that there's a woman who works for that law firm and that people showed up at his former client's door, that they have them on camera. He posted a photo and he said that they were trying to impersonate people in, like, I don't know if it was the government, in positions, in these type of positions, right?
Okay.
And offering them money to file lawsuits against him. This is his claim now. So it's to me, it's like one of these, like, TV shows almost. It's like a TV show.
Yeah, everything's a reality show, to be honest
It
with you.
is,
Everything.
really.
Everything's a reality
So
show.
you didn't hear that.
I did not hear that.
The media didn't pick it up as much. They picked up
did
the
not.
inconsistencies, though. They definitely picked up the inconsistencies. They didn't pick up that story as much. You know?
Yeah, I think
And Jay-Z's attorney, his attorneys responded, and they called the suit baloney. That was the word they used. It was good. That was a good word.
I haven't heard someone say baloney in a
Those
while.
suits are baloney.
That was
That's
a
a good
very
word.
early 90s term.
Yeah,
I haven't
he
heard
said
that in a long time.
That was a baloney lawsuit. But really, like, okay, there's a lot of baloney lawsuits right now. I like that word. I'm glad he used it. It was a
Can
good
we
word.
start using that?
It's baloney.
It's baloney. Like,
It's baloney.
we're going to start using that. Baloney.
Yeah,
When
baloney.
when we feel like someone's lying, that's baloney.
I was particularly interested in how people were spelling baloney. Like, some people were spelling it like Baloney. It was weird.
Like Maloney, but baloney?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was like they were like, Jay-Z's lawyer says it's baloney, and it was spelled like that. And I was like, what's happening? This is really a circus.
What's happening is that people are depending too much on spell check, and they no longer know how to spell things anymore.
Really?
And even that spell check should have picked that up. But
Yeah, I know, but they put it in quotes, so I think I think they intentionally spelled it like that. I don't know. I gotta do
Nothing
my
makes
recon
sense.
on that. Like, I gotta go back and see.
nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
I don't know. I think it's hard when it comes to these cases too, because look, you have people that make these claims and all of a sudden retract their statements. Then we
Yeah.
have, we do have people that victim blame a lot, right? Like that
Yeah.
comes into play. There's just so many different facets when a case like this emerges. Like, and
But
then
it
we're
is a
talking
big
about
case.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
We're talking about a man who has cleaned up his reputation.
Yes.
I mean, unfortunately, these claims came out on the day of Blue Ivy's Lion King debut.
know.
That was horrible.
Mufasa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First
It was
of all,
horrible.
did you see who does Mufasa's voice? He is fine. Anyway.
Is he?
Fine. With
Wow.
F-W-I-N-E. Fine. Anyway. So the fact that happened on her debut, like, that's horrible. She has people, kids in school,
Right.
like, they're of age where they're on the internet. Like,
And that's what he said. And let me
horrible.
say this, because I went in on his statement when it first came out. I did, He did express a lot of concern for his daughter and what she would have to deal with as a result of these accusations. And that part of his statement was the best to me. So I will compliment that, since I have gotten so much heat for going in on his very long statement. You know what I'm saying? That part sat with me. I was like, that was a good part of his statement to say that, because one, as I said before, who doesn't love, the family, the Carter family, right? Because they're iconic. And I think that's what makes me so passionate about this story, because I'm watching them really make these accusations against someone who we've all looked up to as an icon in hip hop culture. Right? So I'm like, what's going on that this is happening right now? It feels like there's more to the story, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it also feels like, I don't know, man, like, a lot of the best music, and like, can we
Right.
still listen to it? Like, we're talking about like Diddy, R. Kelly, now Jay-Z, like our playlist, like, what's left?
That never happened before. Did you see what just happened?
No.
It's fine. The entire world saw it. And they're like, what is she doing over there? Right.
You've been fixing your earring.
Yeah, I was fixing my earring.
It's like the legends, like. It's
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's tough.
And then even to watch what's going on with Diddy. And I always give an update on the Diddy case. Right now, the last thing I read about was, I mean, obviously there's all of these cases coming out.
It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming because you don't know what's true, what's not. There's cases being filed on behalf of Jane Does and John Does, like men and women who are saying things happened to them. And there are really a lot of allegations. But they denied his bail a couple of weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving. And now it was reported that he's going to stay in jail until the trial.
Yeah, like he revoked his own bail. He was like, you know what?
He was
I
like,
changed
I'm
my
done.
mind.
He was like, I'm good. Really? Like, this isn't working? You know, it feels strategic, which is good. I think he probably thought, like, I need to focus on this case, and it's coming up, and not focus on these bail hearings. And they were like, you know, and I'm sure it's, the more you file, it's more money, more money, more money.
Yeah, of course.
Right, when you're appealing things.
And now his kids are getting pulled in.
Yeah.
Is it Christian or I think it was Christian?
They're always, going
no,
in on
but
his kids.
someone is like there's a
making
lawsuit.
accusations against them.
Sexual
Yeah.
assault. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just,
a lot. And my heart goes out to his kids, actually, because they're already dealing with a lot. So it's like, to watch them have to deal with their own accusations, it's kind of like, just give them a minute. Just give them a minute, because they're dealing with their father, and it's tough, and it's in front of the world.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do feel I have like a soft spot in my heart for kids.
Yeah, I mean, but then it's like a two-part fold, right? It's like we have to have consideration for them, but then we do have to have consideration for the victims as well, and or the parents. Like that's their children,
right?
You know, like
right. And you know, me,
mess.
it's like someone said something in the comments where I shouldn't have been. Okay, someone said something about, oh, she always sides with the victim. It's not that I'm always siding with the victim. It's just that I feel like victims should be afforded the to be heard as well, right? So like I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Like they should also be given the opportunity to say their story. And I think when it comes to celebrities, you know, people are so easy to be like, well, this is this person, and you think you know that person because they're a celebrity, right? So they have all this power, and they're able to push the button, and the media is gonna go because the media wants that interview when the album comes out or whatever. But the victims should be given an opportunity to tell their story also, and we should give them attention as well. And so, like, I really feel strongly about that. So it's not that I'm like siding with the victims here. I'm looking at the cases. I'm trying to do my homework, but I'm also trying to give them the same attention that I would give a celebrity with a big name when they file a case like that.
Right, especially I feel like in hip hop culture, like there is a lot of victim blaming that does happen.
I know.
So
it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
You know?
It is unfortunate. A lot of that goes on. So I don't know. But Cat Williams, I don't know what type of crystal ball you have, but let us know.
Crazy?
I hope that 2025 is a better year.
I'm definitely, people keep telling me, we're in this retrograde. I'm like, which planet today? Like, which one is going backwards today? It's 2024, it just feels like every planet was just retrograding, like all the planets were going back, like all the planets. Just
I
like,
feel like Mercury has been retrograding since 2017. But
I'm like, you know, the economy is retrograding.
Yeah,
like everything is retrograding. And so I'm like, oh, is that what it is? So I'm looking forward to the new year.
I think that sometimes things just have to go away, and house has to be cleaned to start anew. That's what I'm hoping, and not obviously not cleaning house as far as like people, but I mean as far as just like how we're doing things, how we receive things. I'm hoping that we'll go about things differently in 2025. We'll see. I don't know. I'm on this spiritual journey. I'm just trying to be positive.
You're trying to be positive. You know what? They call it the age of Aquarius. And they're like,
well, I don't know, because Aquarius is kind of toxic.
That's what they're calling this era. And everything that's going on.
Oh, no wonder.
Shift. It's called the age of Aquarius. You're funny. The age of Aquarius, you know. And I'm very like spooky when it comes to like the signs and the planets and because I believe in all of us being connected, and energy and that stuff is very powerful.
It is.
So that's what they're saying. So maybe this is some sort of shift, right? And the people in power are being. It's almost like they're trying to overthrow the people who have a lot of power. And that's what I read the Age of Aquarius was about. So I'll be doing some more reading on this and maybe putting my astrological mind to work.
Put out the good juju. Put out the good juju.
Yes, you know, my Gemini energy, for all you people out there who care. I know you're like, we don't really care what sign you are. But no, I am a very proud Gemini.
All you Geminis are very proud.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, my mom, my sister, it's a Gemini thing.
That
It's like,
felt like a
come
little
on.
jab.
It was a little jab, because that's a Gemini thing. Us Geminis. I'm like, okay.
Are you Gemini jealous?
Never, I'm a Taurus. We don't do that.
Sounds like you're Gemini
We don't do that.
jealous.
It's Taurus girls, you know.
Let me just run down the Geminis that I love. Kanye West, Lauryn Hill, Biggie, Tupac, right? Kendrick Lamar.
First of all, I think Biggie was on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini.
Relax.
I'm just saying.
Relax. He claimed
Just saying.
Gemini. He claimed Gemini.
I'm
He
just
might have
saying.
been, he was in the Gemini.
Okay.
There's so many more people who are Gemini. Remy Ma from the
Okay.
Bronx,
Okay.
who I love. That was
sister.
another person that I went into the comments, and the comments were going in on me because they were saying I took her side in the recent Remy and Papoose social media, what do you call that? Social media moment,
Yeah, that was rough.
right?
That was rough to watch.
It was, you know, and I said, you know, I talked about them. I was like, I love this couple. I love their daughter. She's an angel.
She's
I love
adorable.
her.
Adorable.
And I know them both. So I was reporting on the story, and people went in on me. But I was like, that's my fellow Gemini from the Bronx. I'm going to defend her. Shout out to Rem. And I had just saw her the night before all of that news broke. I had just saw it. So you think I'm going to go against her? And look, I have my opinions, but I wouldn't talk on their relationship like that, just based on my personal, you know, experience with them.
Right.
It would be wrong for me. But they were like, Kim, report the story. You know this. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know anything.
Don't know.
But I'm watching the play-by-play. It was ugly.
It got nasty. It got
did.
nasty, especially like when it comes to like putting your relationship on social media. Like that's something I've never done, even with my ex. Like I've never been one to do
neither.
that. I'm private about certain things like that. You know, of course, there's a laundry list of things that I could have been posting. You know, but I would never do that. For me, it's just like I can't do that on social media.
It's hard.
It is hard. But don't get me wrong. If you see me in person, I might tell you a couple things.
Yeah, me too. But I feel like, you know, that's part of the Gemini in me, right? I'm not going to do that. And I feel like she's straight Gemini too. So I was shocked that she had went to social media and put her relationship issues there. I was
Yeah.
shocked. And I think a lot of people felt like, oh my God, you know, because they were this couple that we held up as Black love.
Absolutely.
And this stuff is playing out, and then you have, and I just wanted this is what I wanted. I wanted the other people to not be involved, right? So they got involved.
Yeah.
They started posting things about their relationship. She did this, he did that, you know.
Yeah.
And then the other people that they're dating and seeing jumped in.
Yeah, because they felt like, oh, okay, well, they're already talking about me anyway. I might as well chime in. And I don't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that. And I'm not saying that, look, who knows, you know, those people, her boyfriend, his girlfriend, they may have, and I'm talking about, you know, like, I know the boxer, Clarissa Shields, who, you know, she has her own story. And,
Yeah.
and from what I know, like, I'm not really a big fan like that. Like, she's a pretty successful boxer. I think
She has a movie coming out. That was
I
the
know
whole
she has a
thing.
movie coming out, but I think her track record is crazy from what I've heard. I don't watch her boxing. I don't watch women's boxing like that. But I'm like, she's like official in that space, right? So it's like to watch these people who have their own things going on just kind of jump into the mess. It's you know, it was hard.
I think what's even more disappointing, I think maybe a lot of women probably feel this way, right, is that when Remy was locked up, he was 10 toes down the whole time, right? And she was gone for a minute. It wasn't
Right.
like a year or two. And it was like, oh my God, he stood by her side this whole time.
Right.
Like, he's the epitome of what every man should be.
Right.
Right? And then all of a sudden you find out he was cheating. And it's like,
But do we know that?
supposedly, allegedly.
Is that what she said in one of her posts?
Yeah, allegedly. Like she was like, "Oh, I caught you on the phone. You fell asleep while you were texting her." Like,
No, but do we know he was cheating when she was locked up? Is that what you were saying?
no. I'm talking about
okay.
as far as like we think he's perfect, and
Right,
like
and then
now
he's-
look, we don't know
right.
what he did when she was locked up.
Right, but they were both, in his defense, they were both already, I think, dating other people, right? Like, who knows? And that's the big question. The big question was who cheated first, right? They're married. They're obviously not together. The big question that everyone wanted to know was who cheated first. And that's where people started to jump at me because I'm like, she didn't own that. Like, she didn't say she did anything first. And really, does it matter? Yeah, I do feel like it matters.
It's technicality.
Yeah, if
right?
you cheat first, then don't I have a pass to cheat back?
I don't really like that. I don't really like, even though we know that yes, initially you're gonna want to like probably get your get back, but I don't like the get back. I don't like the get back because look what happens. This is what happens with the get back. It gets very messy. Look, it feels good for probably like I would say 20 minutes if you get your get back, but essentially all it does is just get super messy, and that's what happened here.
Bianca,
No, come on, like
you're lying.
Look, new journey,
You're
new
lying.
spiritual journey.
You're
No,
lying.
seriously, listen.
She's lying.
No, trust me, I was owed a lot of get back. A lot of get back.
And you just don't-
I didn't. And let me
So
tell you,
you're
when
the
I
bigger
first
person?
I was, and when I first left my ex, I was like, this don't feel good. Being the bigger person, like, no, I should have just done X, Y, and Z. Now in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't.
Aw.
In hindsight, but don't get me wrong. For about the first 2 years after my breakup, I was like, I should have done this. Look, I could have done this. I could have done this.
I do need to heal. I'm still in that space of like, they did what to me? This person did that to me?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe the get back would be like, you know, like not necessarily going with someone, but like, you know, I'll be petty with certain things.
Okay, so speaking of get back, the Bronx couples, celebrity, what's going on with Cardi B and Offset?
First of all,
Shout out to the Bronx because, you know, they want to know what's up with Cardi. Cardi is like
how they end up at the same
Bronx
strip
queen.
How they end up at the same strip club, and they both making like they're literally battling each other. Who can make it rain more? Like that's crazy. Then she
Are they not?
I don't know.
Let's start with,
he took
are
a
they
picture of
together?
her. He took a picture of her that night before, allegedly,
Right.
before she went out. He had the picture in his phone, like, "Oh, you're saying I'm stalking you, but I took this picture of you." I was like,
You didn't know. I don't know what to believe here.
"What's going on?"
Right. Are
What's
you
happening?
guys together or not?
I don't know, and
We
we
the
know
fans
that
need to know.
we do.
We
need
do.
to know. We do need to
What's
know.
up?
What's
Because
going
we're
on?
like scrolling. And so like she had posted some text messages, right?
Yeah.
Of him and her.
Yeah.
What was it? I don't understand.
They were just going back and forth, and her saying that she wants a divorce immediately. Like, I mean, we've seen this before, though.
With them.
We've seen this before.
So do you think it's like a love and hip hop thing? Not saying love and hip hop, but like that they're letting their relationship play out to keep the attention on them so that they have, you know, because it's a big media moment.
It is a media moment.
They're one of hip hop's biggest celebrity couples.
Right. I think they also grew up in an age where you do put your business on social media. Like, you know what I mean? Like that demographic that was born
Yeah.
in like the 90s, like they grew up with everything being disposable
Right.
online. So I just think they're used to doing this.
Right.
They've been doing it for so long, and since they first got together.
Right.
Like the proposal was in front of people, you know, the baby, like her going on tour, like
Right.
their whole relationship was in the public eye, like for the most part.
Right.
Because I remember, like, you know, before they went public, they were together for about a good almost year.
Okay.
They were together
that's
for a
right.
minute.
That's right.
You know,
And so how many kids do they have now?
3.
Time flies. They have 3 kids already?
3 kids.
What are their kids' names?
Culture. I'm having a moment.
They have like these celebrity kid names, right?
Yes.
I noticed that.
Yes.
And I remember when like one of the Hollywood actresses named her kid Apple. Whose kid is named
I
Apple?
think that's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was like, Apple? But it's such a celebrity thing to do, right? Like culture. But
Yeah.
culture's kind of cute.
Culture's adorable. I don't want to be
Culture's kinda
called
cute.
a piece of produce.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Apples-
Apple, like what?
Yeah, Apple's weird. Culture's kind of cute.
Yeah, culture's cute.
Culture.
Culture's cute.
Well, you don't know her other baby's
Damn, I
name.
forgot. I'm having a moment, and I knew.
I knew too, but it slipped my mind.
It's just too much information.
Yeah, it is. It's like overkill, like
Overload.
so overload. Thank you. So 3 little kids now, but they're on the verge of a divorce.
Yes.
Wow. But they haven't, no one's filed a divorce yet.
I think they did file for divorce. It's just not
Cardi
final.
filed.
Yeah.
Right, so they're going through it. Who's the breadwinner there? Because Remy said she was the breadwinner in her relationship with Pap, right? And then people online were, oh my God, they were going crazy on that, right? But who's the breadwinner in Cardi and Offset? It's Cardi, right?
A lot of people say Cardi, but then, of course, the men, like, but you forget, like, what he used to do with the Migos. They still have, residuals, like.
Yeah, no. The Migos is huge. Migos is huge.
know.
But I feel like she's the bigger celeb. Definitely the bigger celeb.
Definitely the bigger celeb.
Right.
Definitely.
It's kind of like, he's bigger than A$AP Rocky, in my opinion. So with Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, she's the bigger celeb.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She can go to any country and they know who she is,
In hip hop, have we seen a couple? This is a question that I may even know the answer to, I don't know. Where the woman, a celebrity couple, where the man is bigger than the woman.
That's a good question. Celebrity couple, because before it used to always be the man, but now the tables have turned.
Well, I mean, was it the man? I'm talking about celebrity couple.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Right? Celebrity hip hop couple. It's always like when they do that, the men pick like a big celebrity to raise their celebrity. I'm not saying that's what was the case with these.
Yeah, because Cardi wasn't a celeb
artists.
yet.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
She wasn't a celeb yet when he got with her.
Please, Cam, you are hating. No, I'm not hating. I'm just thinking. The men pick women who can raise their celebrity when they do that celebrity couple thing. I'd like to see a big male celebrity pick like a younger celebrity that's still on the come up, right? When does that happen in hip hop?
I feel like they've tried. They do it a lot with probably like reality girls, like.
Do they?
I think they do.
No, I feel like men pick the women who have the bigger career for the look.
But wait, so did Beyonce have a bigger career when her and Jay got together at the time?
Now, I think that's debatable.
I think that's
here
debatable.
we go with the Kim, you hating. I don't want to do that. But I think he knew that she was going to go. I mean, you look at her now and everything that she's... He knew that. And he had that foresight. Like, he's able to see. We know that, his whole MO is like, I'm
he knows
10 steps ahead of you at all times, right? We can look at what's going on with... and how he's playing this whole case. So I think he knew she was going to be that girl.
He knew, but she still wasn't there yet. She was big. She was huge, but she wasn't the Beyonce of right now.
No, but he knew she would be.
And Jay was already Jay.
He was already Jay. But she was the ticket of like, and look.
Well, maybe the ticket of going like mainstream.
Mainstream, right? Because if you're him, right, now you have to make sure whoever's on your arm can match that.
Right.
So I understand that.
Because we're talking about 2002, so he wasn't super mainstream, button up. He wasn't there yet.
They may be a bad example because they're so high profile, right?
Future Ciara? That's one instance.
Interesting. You think Future was bigger than Ciara when they got together?
No, that was still an instance where she was bigger than him.
That's what I'm saying, right?
And then after that, he started dating women that weren't, obviously as famous.
This is like a homework assignment. Please, like, comment, share. But really, on my YouTube, at Kim Osorio Media, make sure you let me know if you have an example. Please comment on this, because I get all the negative comments. Let's have this conversation. Please comment on this. Damn. Let me know if there's a female celebrity who has gotten with a male celeb in hip-hop, female hip-hop artist, right? That she wasn't as big as him. And he lifted her celebrity up. I want to know. They say I always get into these men-women conversations.
No, because that's a good point.
Isn't it?
That's a good point.
I want to know, has there been a high-profile, please comment. Please go in the comments and tell me. Has there been a high-profile celebrity hip hop male that has decided that he's going to date someone who may not be on his level.
That's interesting, because in the 90s, it was the other way around.
Was it though? Who?
Wow.
Who?
Women used to associate themselves with the men, like, it's a lot, like Little Kim and Biggie.
I'm saying as women, I feel like we always look down and be like, okay, I'll take him. I'll take him. I'll take him. You know what I'm saying? I'll take him. We're not looking like, you know what? I think I'll give me that one on the shelf over there.
No, I
the
think
one that the top shelf guy. Give me the top shelf.
Well, women that are not in the industry do that. Women that we see a lot of these girls, like the women that Rick Ross dates.
But do they
for
really?
instance.
But do they pick them up and make them?
I think that it's enough shine for you to have a little.
Examples. I need comments in the comments on this
You
one.
have enough of 5 minutes of fame. If you are a business savvy woman, that little 5 minutes of fame, you can spin that.
You spin it.
You can.
Right.
If you're going to be smart about it.
Women, I feel like powerful women always shop in this like bargain bin of men.
Not the bargain bin.
And I want to stop shopping there. I want to stop shopping in the bargain bin.
You don't want to get the sale?
I want the top shelf. Right?
Okay. Do powerful?
Yeah. I'm not going to act like I haven't,
Dipped your toe in the...
experimented with a little top shelf liquor. You know what I mean? But like relationship,
She had a little douce, but...
right? But relationship-wise, I feel like a lot of anyway. Moving on, because I know that we're gonna probably run out of time, and I think I could talk about that one forever. So like when we...
No, that's a good topic.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because we've both been in situations where it's like we've pulled someone along, you know what I'm saying, and still worked on our own career. Like,
You've been in the bargain bin?
Yeah.
Get out of the bargain.
No, I left that bar.
I got him at a discount.
Listen, and them sizes, it didn't fit right. The material wasn't good. Like,
just
it
bad.
got wasted really quickly.
Yeah,
like, I had to
bad.
throw it away. And
Yeah.
now,
Yeah, it's
definitely way
bad.
choosier. But,
Yeah,
but
you
that,
get what you... Okay, let me
that
not
goes back-
take the analogy there. Let me not take the analogy there.
because that goes back into, like, dealing with childhood trauma.
Yeah,
like,
it's a
that
lot.
goes deep.
That goes deep.
That is a trigger warning for real.
Listen, this is why I came up with that name. Even though a lot of people share the name or whatever, it just felt like
That's
the
a
right
topic.
one.
No, that is a topic.
You know what else before we like wrap up things? You know what else I wanted to talk about? And I don't have a lot to say about this because I don't think I know a lot, but I do have one thing to say. So did you see the reports that Lil Wayne, Chris Brown, that they were all accused of spending money from the pandemic? Like they got these pandemic funds and they're like apparently, and I don't want to misstate the story, right? I just saw that on my...
Well, like PPP loans?
Like PPP. But it wasn't a PPP. There was like a different small business loan or small business association. But they're saying that they misused the funds that they got in the pandemic. And they're saying like they got this money under like whatever business pretenses they said. And they were like throwing parties and private, jets and flying. I feel like I want to pull that up. You didn't see that?
I feel like Lil Wayne doesn't even party, though.
You know what? You're right.
He doesn't even party. He just came back outside like 2 months ago.
You are right. I don't remember seeing him spending money. And I'm not saying, obviously, like, let me say, disclaimer, this is allegedly. Allegedly, we're spending.
Allegedly.
Here we go with the
Chris
allegedly.
Brown be outside, but
But
I don't even think, but he,
why
he
would he
doesn't
need
need that.
Right, Chris Brown wouldn't need to, right? Like, that's how I felt.
No, come on, another two of hip hop greats. Like now it's starting to feel like a damn takedown.
It's a witch hunt. So let me say this. This is the article in Variety. Lil Wayne, Chris Brown, and Marshmello are just a few of the musicians who applied for and received payouts as part of the Shuttered Venue Operations Grant, a government program meant to aid independent venues and arts groups struggling during the pandemic. According to the new report, they allegedly used the money instead pay themselves or throw lavish parties at the cost of taxpayers. This does seem like a weird story that they are reporting, right?
That's
because
Variety wrote about that?
Variety.
I mean, Marshmallow has money. Like, come on, that's Marshmallow.
They were saying in a detailed report from Business Insider, which is also interesting. I always pay attention to who reports the stories.
Yeah, you have to. Sources are important.
Yeah.
Sources
whether they're
are
reputable. You're right.
No, they are.
I always pay attention to that. Pay attention to where the story is coming from, right? Because you're like, who's over there? Where are they getting their information? What agenda do they have? Because everyone has an agenda. Anyway, so the musicians who received the grants, also including Alice in Chains, now here's what's interesting, right? Also including Alice in Chains, Shinedown, Ray Shremmerd, and Steve Aoki. I find it interesting that they used Lil Wayne and Chris Brown as the headline, but there's all these artists they're accusing this of. Do you know what I'm saying? That's interesting. So they ran with it like Lil Wayne, they put his name up there.
Of course, you put that name in the headline.
Yeah.
Chris Brown and Lil Wayne are automatically going to get a click in the headline.
Right, they're getting click. It's click, it's a little clickbaity. The story's a little clickbaity.
A little bit.
Yeah,
little
I see that.
sprinkle.
I see that.
Nah,
so
but
anyway,
Wayne doesn't even party. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, but this has been reported, and there's there's a lot of information here about how much money was spent on what. But it is a little odd when I think about it, because I'm like, and look, I'm not saying people wasn't misusing them PPP loans.
Nah, they were.
Because I remember
the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, people were calling it the pandemic. Like,
I remember. And so, and you know what? And now even in 2024, just thinking back to 2020, everybody was like, oh, it's horrible. I was like, it wasn't that bad in 2020. It wasn't.
No, it was still the pandemic.
It was. Mm-hmm. It was.
But that story's crazy.
Yeah, isn't it? So I saw that and I was like, oh, I got to talk about this because that's interesting. It's interesting that it's coming out now, 4 years later. So maybe they are just trying to.
What I find interesting is that those are the people you put in the headline,
right?
But you don't put any Alice in Chains.
Yeah,
that's a
huge
rock
metal
band,
group.
right? Metal group.
Yeah, why didn't they put that in there?
I don't know.
Right.
Why?
Leave Lil Wayne alone.
Yeah. I think we need to leave hip hop alone. Like, we're going through enough. We're going through enough.
I know we have enough people, but I will say this. I will say this because I feel like Lil Wayne, he seems so nice. I've only met him a couple times, but he seems so nice in the media. He's like.
I mean, from what I hear, I've never met him, but from what I hear, like he's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy, and if he's loyal to you, he's loyal to you.
It's hard for me because I've met so many different people, but you look at the media and what's being reported, and you hear stories from people in the industry about, and then some people I'm putting in do we put them in the good guy box or the not so good guy box? I think I put Lil Wayne in the good guy box.
I put him in the good guy box.
He's never really been accused of anything crazy.
No, and to be honest, I mean, I know someone that knows him, and the way that he has handled that person, he's handled that person accordingly, loyal, you need anything, I'm here. Doesn't have to be, and he still does. I've heard a lot of good things about him, despite.
I have too, and I love seeing him with his daughter. Wow, this has been fun talking to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could have just had this phone call. We do this on the phone. This is what we do on the phone, guys.
We do this on the phone.
Right. But I appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
In the Bronx, repping the Bronx. What part of the Bronx you from?
Bedford Park Boulevard by Lehman
See that?
College.
See that? I'm repping. If you guys didn't know, because I always say it, I'm from Castle Hill. And by way of Grand Concourse, just so you know. But I really appreciate you coming, you talking to me about these things. I love to. I feel like I'm so much more polished on here, and it's, we're on BronxNet, but I feel like I have less Bronx energy when I'm here. It's comfortable. But as I leave, I'm gonna take my Bronx energy to the streets. I'll see you guys. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at KimOsorio1. Bianca, say your Instagram.
At Bianca_Inc.
And subscribe to my YouTube channel at Kim Osorio Media.
Deuces.
All right.
Oh, and watch Apartment 5H. We're on YouTube. Apartment APT.5H.
Thank you. I was giving you the plug after I said, follow my YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube at Kim Osorio Media.
My bad. Didn't take the cue.
But thanks for being here.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yay. We'll do it again soon.
Bronx all day, baby.